Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. On 26th day of June 2021, I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, hosting today's show. And up first, we've got fire danger chart. Some areas of high to maybe very high fire danger up over the Yukon Flats there, both along the Yukon and Porcupine Rivers in the valleys. And also in the Fairbanks area, kind of an increasing area there with maybe even some isolated areas of extreme fire danger, central Tanana Valley, over toward near Delta Junction, back across Fairbanks, and then kind of off to the west-southwest. And then over the, looks like Minchumina area, possibly there, west-northwest of the McKinley Park area, on the other side of the hills or mountains. And then also just west of the Alaska Range in the Kuskokwim Valley, an area of high to very high fire danger. Otherwise, not too bad elsewhere around the state. And moving on to satellite imagery, you can see still south to north flow of moisture aimed right at the eastern North Gulf Coast, up across Copper River Basin area, crossing the Alaska Range. Pretty solid clouds, at least the mid and high level clouds, pretty solid there, all the way up to Arctic Village. And then the Brooks Range really breaks that up. Some breaks today over the Fairbanks area. And cloudy, cool, showery conditions, southern Alaska. Thicker clouds over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, associated with an upper level low there that's tracking slowly northward. See the spin there, rotating clouds into Kuskokwim Bay. And rainfall amounts anywhere from 0.2 to 1/3 of an inch there across the Kuskokwim Delta into Bristol Bay. Only 0.04 of an inch falling in 12-hour period ending at 3 p.m. this afternoon at King Salmon. But let's see, Togiak had 1/3 of an inch of precipitation there in the heavier cloud zone. And then in between King Salmon and Togiak, Dillingham about 0.15 of an inch. And anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to, or 500, or nothing at all actually, just a few hundredths over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta to maybe 1/10 of an inch. So nothing too heavy, just a lot of clouds, cool temperatures. Heavier rain occurring over the eastern Prince William Sound, northeast Prince William Sound area. Valdez about 0.8 of an inch of rain in the 12-hour period. Cordova had anywhere from 0.7 to 1.25 inches, depending on where the rain gauge was, in and around the North Gulf Coast there, and about 0.7 falling at Yakutat. And even Haines had 0.06 of an inch of some light rain, but that fell early this morning. Otherwise, the Panhandle was mostly cloudy in the north to mostly sunny in the south. And the North Slope seeing some sunshine today, and not too bad along the Arctic coast. Out west, you can see the next system spreading rain with the clouds and low pressure just south of the Komodorsky Islands, slowly moving eastward, with the back edge of the front pretty close to Shimei and Attu. Clouds on the increase for Atka and more so for Adak. And then clouds, isolated showers around the Pribilof Islands. Otherwise, no big storms out over the central eastern Bering Sea in toward the Bering Strait area. Just that upper level low there along the southwest coast. And let's see, we've got really that band of moisture is really starting to thin out and weaken. That's sliding northward toward the eastern North Gulf Coast. On the chart today, you can see periods of rain coming northward there in the upper level flow, not so much the surface flow, pretty light wind conditions at the surface you can see, but the jet stream pulling the moisture from south to north into the North Gulf Coast there, especially on the eastern North Gulf Coast. But showers across southern Alaska, mostly cloudy skies, cool temperatures today again, and just isolated thunderstorms up over the interior areas with showers along mostly the Brooks Range locations, dry mostly for the North Slope and the Arctic coast. And then a reflection of the upper level low there just west of Nunivak Island, bringing some resilient period, or the rain areas, kind of a widespread area of light rain and showers there from the Yukon Delta into the Kuskokwim Valley on down to Bristol Bay. Then a break for the eastern Aleutians, isolated showers Alaska Peninsula, and then the moisture spreading eastward there ahead of that front and low pressure center. That's, again, the low is just south of the Komodorsky Islands, the front just crossing the Shimei Attu area. And we'll see tonight that edges slowly eastward, really not a big push in any direction of that system, just slowly drifting east. And weak trough brings some light rain, fog, drizzle, probably some IFR conditions, especially the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula, with the risk of showers up into southern Shelikof Strait. Chance of showers with that same trough of the Pribilof Islands. And then the upper level trough that's weakening as it lifts northward, keeping it damp and unsettled over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, right up in the Norton Sound, southern Seward Peninsula. Look for periods of light rain, fog, drizzle, but amounts will be light, and wind's not much of a factor. Chance of showers in the Kuskokwim Valley kind of cut off at the Alaska Range. So basically dry south central Alaska for the overnight period, maybe some clearing, and diminishing rain for the North Gulf Coast, but still a chance hangs on through the night and probably into tomorrow there for Prince William Sound over to Yakutat. But the Panhandle dry for the most part, or will be dry, with most of the clouds up in the north and along the north coast. And then you can see showers extending from looks like the northern Kobuk Valley, east-northeast, across eastern Brooks Range. North Slope, not too bad. Some clearing, maybe some low clouds, fog along the Arctic coast. Winds are light. High pressure northern Bering Sea there, St. Lawrence Island, keeping that, light winds could result in some low clouds and fog. And then the warm front spreading the rain tonight. And tomorrow doesn't really make too much farther eastward progress. It looks like it was trying to roll into the Fox Islands. Probably definitely see some clouds. Mostly cloudy skies tomorrow, but probably dry for Unalaska, Nikolsky, Dutch Harbor, Bristol Bay, southwest coast, mostly cloudy. Risk of showers or areas of light rain. And that extends all across southern Alaska. And rainfall amounts will be lighter for the North Gulf Coast tomorrow as that flow weakens and kind of the moisture continues to thin out. Chance of showers again, Lynn Canal Glacier Bay and maybe over toward the eastern border, but still basically dry with mostly sunny skies. Warmest temperatures over the southern southeast coast. Risk of thunderstorms along the Brooks Range, and then that front up over the Arctic, you can see on Monday, drops down Sunday night into Monday and is draped across the eastern Arctic coast southwestward into Kotzebue Sound, northern Seward Peninsula. Periods of light rain, fog, drizzle, and showers with that. Cloudy skies drying out central western Arctic coast in the afternoon. Otherwise, the interior, central areas, call it chance of showers, 50-50 there to probably just a 20 to 30% chance over toward the eastern interior, over toward the border. Risk of a thunderstorm along the eastern Alaska Range. Otherwise, partly sunny skies, Susitna Valley, Kenai Peninsula, northern Cook Inlet, probably Susitna, or the Manuska Valley as well as the Yukon Flats. Temperatures in the 70s, where you see the sun, where the sun will be out. Panhandle stays dry, mostly sunny, and scattered showers along the southwest coast. And then that weakening front brings a chance of rain, fog, and drizzle. Probably some IFR, definitely IFR for the southern Bering Sea, back into the western Aleutians, and more than likely for the Fox Islands as well, and then just east of the Pribilofs. Taking a look at the low temperatures for tonight, 50 to 55, Yukon Flats, maybe Arctic Village, a low near 50 into the central interior, lower 50s for Ambler, Kobuk Valley, mid to upper 30s central Arctic coast, but mid to upper 40s for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, lows just under 50 there for Nome, otherwise 40 to 45 for the Seward Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island, mid-40s for the Pribilofs, and lower to mid-40s for the central Aleutians, western Aleutians, and then mid-40s for the Alaska Peninsula and the Bristol Bay. Pretty uniform, actually, right into the southwest interior. Call it 45 to 50, pretty much covers it. Also, south central Alaska, 40s to lower 50s, mid-40s Kodiak Island, and temperatures in the lower 50s, lower to mid-50s for the southeast coast, although Ketchikan may have trouble falling below 60 degrees. And then for highs tomorrow, again, warmest over the southern southeast coast, 75 to 80 once again, maybe even 81 or 82 showing up in the warmer locations, but mid to upper 70s even into the Lynn Canal Glacier Bay area, and upper 70s also for the Yukon Flats. Again, 75 to 80, lower 70s in the greater Fairbanks area, 60s southern Alaska near 70 Copper River Basin, upper 50s as you head west, Kuskokwim Valley, lower 60s, and then mid to upper 50s along the southwest coast. Mid-50s for the Pribilofs, upper 40s, lower 50s for the Aleutians, and nothing too spectacular for the North Slope in the Arctic coast, 40s and 50s, mid-60s there for the Kobuk Valley to upper 60s around Bettles. And then the lows for Monday morning, again, upper 30s for the central western Arctic coast, 45 to 50 on the east side, near 40 for the Bering Strait, mid-40s Seward Peninsula, upper 40s and near 50 southwest interior. Same thing southern Alaska as well, 45 to 50. In the 50s for the Panhandle, warmest in the south. Again, lower 60s and then lower to mid 40s out over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And then taking a look at the forecast highs Monday afternoon, bring it down a little up in the northeast interior, but still into the mid 70s along the Yukon Flats. and struggling to reach 70 though at Fairbanks, and still in the lower 80s over the southern panhandle with 70s all the way up into Lynn Canal Glacier Bay, but 60 Yakutat, 65 to 70 south central Alaska.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphic Sunday morning. Good VFR, North Slope, Arctic Coast. Lower conditions off the west coast there with IFR from Cape Lisburne to Point Hope. Marginal VFR Northwest Coast, north side of Seward Peninsula to about Teller. Otherwise Nome, VFR, Eastern Norton Sound marginal across the lower Yukon River into the Kuskokwim Valley. Southern Alaska marginal VFR with IFR, North Gulf Coast into the Coast Range, maybe the Southern Copper River Basin, remaining offshore of the Panhandle for VFR in that area, and a lot of IFR out over the Aleutians, all of the Aleutians, part of the Alaska Peninsula, most of the Bering Sea through across St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait, IFR. And then for the afternoon, let's see, it's going to be VFR still from the North Slope Arctic Coast, Brooks Range, some marginal VFR there from the Noatak Valley, Kotzebue area, Kobuk Valley though, VFR, and then the lower Yukon River Valley into the Delta, Southwest Interior, Bristol Bay, marginal VFR, Norton Sound, Seward Peninsula, and the Northwest Coast, and still a lot of IFR for the Aleutians and the Bering Sea, although a little less north of the Fox Islands, marginal VFR, Alaska Peninsula, Southern Kodiak Island, IFR, and marginal VFR just off the southeast coast. For the day Monday morning, conditions kind of pressing in from the south and the west there with IFR inland now to Togiak Bay and across Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, half of the Seward Peninsula, and again the Noatak Valley, and now the western central Arctic coast, IFR, still VFR off to the east, as well as the eastern interior into the Copper River Basin. And marginal VFR for the North Gulf Coast with IFR there, it looks like from about Kachemak Bay up across Montague Island toward Cape St. Elias, Cordova, and now lower conditions for the Panhandle, IFR along the coast, marginal VFR into the central inside waters. And then for the afternoon, that burns off, VFR for the Panhandle, marginal VFR, eastern North Gulf Coast. Southern Alaska up to the Eastern Brooks Range, VFR, but North Slope Arctic Coast, a lot of IFR now into the Bering Sea through the Strait with marginal VFR, Bristol Bay, Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, lower Yukon River Valley, and marginal VFR up in the Nulato Hills covering all of Norton Sound, Norton Bay, and the Seward Peninsula. Otherwise, some marginal VFR north shores of Unmak and Unalaska Island. Passes, Anatuvik and Anigan looking good tomorrow, both VFR for the flying there. And for the Western Alaska Range, could start out with marginal VFR for Lake Clark and Merrill, otherwise becoming VFR and remaining that way through the evening. Rainy VFR from start to finish Sunday with on either approach. And windy, same forecast, good VFR. And for Isabel, VFR. Mentasta, VFR. Antonita, VFR in either approach, and Portage also VFR, at least we're in one more day, and Chilkoot and White, VFR. Taking a look at the freezing levels, cool there with the upper level low that's tracking northward across the southwest interior. It's got 6,000 feet, sloping up to 8,000 feet just east of the border there in the Yukon with the Panhandle under really warm air aloft, 14 to 16,000 foot freezing levels, 8,000 over the central Aleutians. Icing, well, none in the southeast coast. Even if you had it, with those high freezing levels, it wouldn't be much of a factor at all. So areas of mixed, light to very isolated, moderate rime or mixed icing. Greatest threat out toward the west, and the least threat over eastward toward the border. And then some areas possible southern Bering Sea, southwest Bering, and the western central Aleutians. Kind of an elevated icing threat there with a few bands of moisture, but nothing too significant. And going from the icing to the jet stream. Upper level low there, western Norton Sound, just east of St. Lawrence Island. Other one up off the Arctic coast, along the eastern Arctic coast. So we got southwest flow across a good portion of the state, 55 to 65 knots there from Nunavak Island to Norton Bay, 30 knots. A little farther to the southeast, up to 60 knots though, right across or just west of Yakutat, and then even stronger winds in the Panhandle, 85 knots. And for 9,000 feet, lighter winds, still pretty brisk there, central Arctic coast, 45 out of the southwest with a disturbance passing by to the east and the north, 25 to 35 knot winds in a band over the western interior, and then the storm out over the western Bering Sea, 35 to 40 knot winds with that. And 35 knots at 3,000 feet, and then 20 to 35 knots there, strongest western central Arctic coast, and say right across the Selawik Valley, 25 knot southwest winds. Turbulence, moderate chop for AKwx, light ice.
So my heart is definitely racing. I don't know about anyone else's. This is the stuff nerds dream of.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6,
It's gonna
5,
happen.
4, 3, 2.
That countdown you just heard? We'll get back to that in a minute. Last episode, we saw the epic launch of ICESat-2, NASA's newest state-of-the-art ice-observing satellite. But now that that's in orbit, the pressure to deliver results is on.
Between launch and, the first ground returns, took 17, 18 days or something like this. It's a time when you're quite nervous.
9 years ago, Dr. Torsten Marcus took over as the lead project scientist for ICESat-2 during a time when the mission needed a champion.
You start fighting for a mission over, for 9 years now.
So when ICESat-2 was turned on for the first time 18 days after it was launched, only then would the science team know if the whole thing had worked. And it did. If it sounds like there's a lot of noise in the background, that's because Torsten is being interviewed from a plane 1,500 feet in the air. IceBridge was tasked with the job of bridging the data between the end of ICESat's mission and the beginning of ICESat-2, about a 9-year difference.
The goal is that it would run until ICESat-2 launched and then would have overlap with ICESat-2 as well, so we can get a really long, well-calibrated time series from IceBridge.
As the deputy project scientist for Operation IceBridge, Brig works closely with Torsten to make sure the two missions are syncing up.
The timing was everything during that mission, which was a real challenge because not only do we need to...
Basically what you need to take away is getting an airplane and a satellite in space to fly over the same flight path at the same time and collect matching data is really, really hard. IceBridge was tasked with two objectives: check the accuracy of ICESat-2's data over land ice and over sea ice. They were able to lock in the land ice data fairly quickly in the mission, but the sea ice data...
It was really tricky. We waited day after day. Do we fly the sea ice? It's still on our list.
7, 6,
It's gonna
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark on the overpass, 0435, 350.
Here's what just happened. A plane 1,500 feet up and a satellite 308 miles up measured the same sea ice at the same time. This moment finally linked veteran mission Operation IceBridge's data to that of its new sister mission, ICESat-2. Two projects that, until now, were separate for nearly 10 years.
It's a very satisfying feeling because you do something that is meaningful and in the bigger picture. And yeah, it's very satisfying.
Our search for knowledge doesn't end here. Grace Follow-On and ICESat-2, the two satellite missions that launched this year, will continue to bring in incredible data for the foreseeable future. The steady drumbeat of campaigns in the field goes on, but most of all, the people who look for answers will never stop searching. And from our perspective, it's pretty clear why. What is your favorite planet in the solar system?
My favorite planet is the planet Earth.
What? Earth? Really?
The Earth, obviously.
Favorite planet in the solar system? Earth, right? We live on it. It's a really important one.
Favorite planet is Earth.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so when you look out at the other planets, they're absolutely fascinating. They've got all sorts of interesting systems going on. They've got dust storms. But then when you're on another planet, looking back at Earth, I mean, it's just incredible.
Whenever you go in different places, it looks so different, so amazing. It's just, I love the planet Earth. It's just a very special planet. This is our home.
We've seen things far beyond the solar system. But even with all that, even the amazing things we've seen, one of the most amazing is the Earth itself.
It's got to be Earth. It's got to be Earth.
It's got to be here. I like the polar regions up here, of Earth. Yeah, sorry. It's very boring.
Earth is good.
Earth is good.
We live here, it sustains our life.
I'm not going to turn my back on it.
It's got water, it's got ice, it's got vegetation. I mean, it's rich with life. And so studying Earth is a very, very rewarding career. And I think if we were on any other planet, we would be trying to get to Earth as quickly as we could.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at today's sea ice analysis, you can see ice thinning out a little bit there right along the Arctic coast on the east side there, and then continue to open up there over the Chukchi Sea, but still some little bit of heavier ice there, roughly from about Kivalina on down in toward Kotzebue Sound. And coastal water forecasts tomorrow, variable or south winds 15 knots, Lincoln Glacier Bay, and northwest at 15 for the Stevens Passage, Clarence Strait areas, inside central, southern, inside waters. Small craft advisories along the coast of Prince of Wales Sound, northwest 25 knots, seas just under 10 feet. And then the central coast, northwest 15 to 20 knots, north coast pretty light, west at 10. And then for the day on Monday, north coast there, northwest at 20 knots, seas 7 to 9 feet. Small craft advisories, central and south coast, 25 to 30 knots from the north with seas 10 to 11 feet. Clarence Strait looking at northwest winds for Monday at 20 knots, and Stevens Passage and the northern inside waters pretty light out of the northwest at 10 knots with slight seas. And then for Cook Inlet tomorrow, west winds 10 knots, seas 2 feet. Prince William Sound, west winds 10 knots with 2-foot seas. North Gulf Coast, west winds 10 knots, seas 5 feet. And the Barren Islands, west winds at 10 knots with 4-foot seas, while Kamishak Bay, southeast at 15, seas at about 3 feet. And for Monday, 20-knot winds now for the Barren Islands and the North Gulf Coast from the west and southwest. Otherwise, Prince William Sound, no change. Westerlies at 10 knots. Cook Inlet, south to southwest breeze in the afternoon at 10 knots with 3-foot seas, and Kamishak Bay, southwest at 15. Then for Bristol Bay, tomorrow, southeast at 10 knots. Light winds for the Alaska Peninsula from varying directions, only 10 knots, 3 to 6-foot seas. Kodiak Island, southeast at 10, 2 to 5-foot seas, and Sitkinak to Kessel Cape, southeast winds 15 knots. Outlook for Monday, a little bit of a pickup in the winds there, east side of Kodiak Island, southwest at 20, Shelikof Strait, 15 knots from the southwest, Bristol Bay, southeast at 10, and south winds 20 knots, Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula, top side there, southeast at 15. And for the Fox Islands and Alaska Islands, south 10 knots, not much different for Runmack Island, south 10 to 15 knots, seas 3 to 5 feet. Adak and Atka southerlies at 20 knots, and then small craft advisories on Chitka Island, south 25, back down to 20 knots from the south, Kiska to Shimia. And then for the day Monday, Shimia to Kiska, northeast at 20, 6-foot seas, Amchitka Island, southeast 15, but small craft advisories for Adak and Atka, 25 knots southeast winds. Unmak Island, southeast at 30 knots, seas 7 to 9 feet, and 25 to 30 knots southeast winds for Unalaska Island. Southwest coast, look for south winds tomorrow, 10 to 15 knots with 3-foot seas. Light northwest breeze for the Pribilof Islands at 10 knots. St. Matthew Island, southeast 15, and St. Lawrence Island, south at 10 knots with Norton Sound, Just a breeze from the south at 15 knots with 3-foot seas. And for Monday, winds come up a little bit there, Norton Sound, southwest of 15 and 20 knots for St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, St. Matthew Island, southeast at 10, Yukon Delta coast and the Kuskokwim Delta coast, Nunivak Island, south winds 10 knots, southeast at 20 with 4-foot seas for the Pribilofs. Up along the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, not too bad, west-southwest breeze, 10 to 15 knots. Winds increasing as you head west there. In the central coast, brisk wind advisory for southwesterlies at 25 knots, turned into a small craft advisory with less sea ice there for the western Beaufort Sea coast at 25 knots, or western Arctic coast, 25 from the southwest, turned south at 25, so small craft advisories all the way down to Cape Thompson, and then Cape Thompson to Wales, south winds at 15 knots with 3-foot seas. And then for Monday, west 25 knot winds, good for small craft advisories there from the area from Wales up to Cape Thompson, and then Cape Thompson and the western Arctic coast, northwest at 20, central coast, west at 15, eastern Beaufort Sea coast, west-southwest, 15 to 20 knots. For tonight, again, light winds, areas of fog possible along the Arctic coast, but probably nothing over the north slope there. Showers along the Brooks Range, mostly dry in the central interior, isolated showers, and then along the Alaska Range, more chance of showers and rain, fog, and drizzle along the Yukon River, lower Yukon River Valley and the Kuskokwim Delta with that upper level low. And then a wet storm coming into the southwest Bering Sea, spreading rain as far east as Adak, but not moving too far. Dry for the Panhandle still, but increase in the shower chances tomorrow over the northern Panhandle, still basically dry. And periods of rain or showers across southern Alaska, cool.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.